Well, Jazz, I got to ask, are we live or?
We are.
All right, everybody. Welcome to this week's version of Live with Lussetto. As always, we've got Dan Christensen and Jazz kind of pulling some strings behind the scenes. And this week's guest, we welcome Dennis and Ridge Fry from Fair Valley Performance. I can tell you that I'm really looking forward to the conversation. One, I remember actually may have pulled against you once at, I don't, it might have been Gordyville and Cloverdale back in 09. I think you guys were still pulling at that time.
It's possible with Agent Orange.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So I guess we'll probably just dive right in. Where did your pulling roots start?
Well, push and rewind. I mean, for me, I grew up on a dairy farm, dairy cash crop farm. And of course, growing up with tractors. And since I was a kid, I loved tractors. I guess it's as simple as that. I loved working on them. I liked tinkering on them. Back when I was a young kid, I loved the smell of diesel smoke. And it's something that stuck with me over the years. And at that point, eventually in my career, eventually I got into the diesel fuel injection industry. And at that point, just one thing led to the other from there.
Okay. What year was that you, I read on your website there that you went to college and then later worked for, was it Diesel Injection Services?
Right. So in,
pretty well known.
Basically I graduated from high school in 1985.
Okay.
At that point, my dad, mid 80s, late 80s was a pretty tough time for farming. It was pretty tough economical times. And I was a farm boy. I wanted to farm. That's what I wanted to do. And Dad said, nope, you got to go do something else. Okay. So out in the workforce I go, trying to find myself. What am I going to do with my life? Right. Just like probably a lot of kids at that point. And eventually I decided going back to my passion of diesel engines, tractors. I decided to go to our local tech school for diesel technology. And while I was working there, I got hired at Diesel Injection Service at the time in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. And that would have been 1990 when I got hired there. And that's where my diesel fuel injection career started in 1990.
Okay. And then later on, you progressed through there and then opened up Fair Valley Performance. And I found this interesting that you actually you must have been pretty early in the game of data loggers.
I was. I guess backing up in my career at Diesel Injection Service, which there I started out as a technician in a shop working on rebuilding fuel injection pumps. Mm-hmm. And of course, back in those days, it was a lot different than what it is now. I can remember rebuilding Standardine DB2 pumps off GM 6.2 liters. Like I had like 20 of those jobs in my file. In those days, and that's where I started. You know, that's a long time ago. And just up through. And the one thing I'm great friends with my former employer. Left on good terms, still great friends. As a matter of fact, they're a major distributor in the diesel fuel injection industry, and we have to be 30 miles from them, and we pick up parts every day. So we're blessed to be able to do that.
Well, something I'll add too, that community, albeit, there's competition obviously in it. That's a small community.
It is.
And they all seem to be pretty intertwined with,
right.
It's kind of a network it's kind of a neat deal behind the scenes a little bit.
And it's really getting smaller, especially with the older mechanical fuel injection systems. Now with the common rail, it's kind of a different ball game. Now it's these old timers, they're not out there anymore. So now I'm one of the old timers. I hate to say it, but
Yep.
I am. And but anyway, through diesel injection service, I was blessed with being able to. I kind of worked through the company there. Ended up working in technical service, and which eventually I was able to travel to all of the. Since we were a distributor, I would travel to all the diesel fuel injection shops throughout the Midwest, and doing like test stand audits, tool audits for Bosch, Stanadyne, places like that. So that was my opportunity at that time. Where really I got to know a lot of people in the industry. Guys like Andy at Diesel Specialties in Sioux City, Iowa.
Oh man, I know Andy pretty well. Yeah.
Right, Area Diesel, Vaughn and Val at Area.
Vaughn and Val.
Guys very well, and that's helped me through the industry and in our time here when we started on our own. So anyway, that was kind of my ranks through diesel injection service, and they were very good to me. And at the time, I did at DIS, we did deal with truck and tractor pulling stuff, mainly tractor pulling fuel systems, not to the big extent, but I was kind of the guy that kind of looked that over, and I had such a passion for it, which they weren't that keen about that. And that's really what drove me to start Fair Valley Performance, is to because I had such a passion for diesel truck and tractor pull, and I wanted to do something on my own.
Yeah. Oh, very good. That's interesting. I'll tell you, the other thing I take from that is it looks like they set you up to where you went through various aspects of the business that really set you up to kind of succeed on your own too.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I give them all the credit in the world for that. And I tell them that to this day, where I'm good friends with the owner of the business now, and they helped me out with that. We just, at the time, I had different interests of what they had. That happens in life, and I went my way and they went their way. But fortunately, we're probably one of their best customers. We buy all of our Bosch product, our nozzles, Stanadyne, Densos, XL, all that stuff from them. So we're good customers of theirs to this day.
Cool part about that is you guys continued down the same lines and both had success, which is awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
When did you guys get started? I mean, was the Agent Orange tractor your first step into the pulling thing? And I mean, was that kind of a advertising tool for you then?
Going back, I mean, let's push and rewind again. Going back to the pulling days. So my dad, growing up on the farm again, he kind of started this thing and just like probably anywhere in the Midwest or wherever, you had your local farm tractor pulls, where basically the farmers would truly bring their farm tractors to the pull. And I can remember, but it's pretty vague in my memory. I can remember the stone boat. I remember that. Wow. Barely, but that I do. But that was the early, and from there, he would take the tractors, and then us kids, once we got old enough, we got involved. Where basically, we're taking the 190, the Al Somers 190. We had the Oliver 1650. We're taking that. We're all of a sudden we had a Farmall M. We're taking that. We had a Farmall Super M. Yep, we're going to take that. and there we are. Between Dad and my older brother, myself, my younger brother, we all went to these local farm pulls, which is probably, at the time might have been maybe 3 or 4 throughout the summertime.
Yeah.
But that was pretty cool. That was kind of a highlight of our young career, but that's where it started, the passion, and kind of one thing led to the next. And then of course, again, with my diesel passion and kind of the knowledge in the industry. And of course, then I started learning how, I know how to turn these things up.
Yeah.
I know how to go put bigger injectors in these. I know how to, I can get this turbo, and that's where it all starts. And that's kind of where it evolved eventually. And in 1999, 98, 99, we with my older brother, we built Agent Orange, a light limited super stock for Badger State. Allenstown was 90, twin turbocharged, and with the rules under 315 cubic inch, you're allowed to run twins. Up to 410 cubic inch, you're allowed a single 3x4, blah, 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 intercooled. And so we did. We started there, and honestly, we ran that tractor for
Roxbury Rebel. You're forgetting that.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I guess back. I did have a friend where I worked with him on a super farm tractor, a red 466 Roxbury Rebel with Badger State. Short period of time, ended up into the Agent Orange, and but yeah, that lasted for I think 11 years. Agent Orange, and I think the last year was 2010 that we ran, and at that point we kind of dissipated that with the intent on going to like a light pro or whatever. But at that point, I was getting my business going, Fair Valley Performance, and it didn't leave a whole lot of time or money to pursue it, to continue on. And since then, I've been so focused on our business that's kind of where it's at, taking care of
outside looking in, and at that time, it looks like your business it grew a lot, from my perspective, and kept adding things and a lot more stuff. And I'm sure you had your hands completely full just with that.
We did, for sure. And at the same time, I'm kind of burning the candle from both ends. Between working full time. And at the time, you had brought up, Greg, about the data log, and we did. We helped develop data log peak performance. So back, and there again, that was back in the late 90s. When data acquisition was pretty far and few between. There weren't a lot of players that had data acquisition systems. So I had a friend that basically was the guru, I guess, if you want to call that. I was more the tractor puller marketer kind of guy that kind of got involved. We worked together, and we ran that business, data log peak performance, for a number of years, probably 15 or so. And then his interest kind of fell off. And then we just kind of migrated out of that just as things got more sophisticated. And during that time, of course, while that's all happening, we're ramping. In 2007, we start Fair Valley Performance, and then all of a sudden we're getting full bore into fuel systems and all that. So really, my interest level for the data log part of it kind of started falling. We kind of fizzled that out, basically.
Well, like I said earlier, you kind of have to you can't do all of it. I mean, some of those could be businesses all by themselves.
For sure. Exactly. And we've learned that, and we're learning as we go too. And as we continue on here, we are probably going to start cutting some things out here and there. And I want to be the best we can be at what we do, and keep it manageable is the big thing.
That's easier said than done.
We'll get more into that too with the volume of business and trying to take care of customers, trying to be able to get back with them in timely fashions and things like that, which is a problem in the industry. It really is. I mean, it's a problem. I hear it every day.
Well, I want to throw my 2 cents in that. I hear a lot of people, I can't get a hold of this guy or that guy, but there's something that I think us as pullers and customers need to remember. When you're doing specialty work, the people that aren't very good are easy to get a hold of.
Right.
The quality people are busy, and we need to respect. I mean, it's a fine line that we have to weigh, but we need to respect that as well.
Right. There is a fine line to that, and that's what we're working on continually. But and maybe I'm jumping the cart ahead of the horse here, but
you don't worry about
it. And sometimes you got to slow me down, Greg. If I get ahead here, you just got to tell me to shut up, and I'll back up here.
That could go both ways.
And but that was the data log thing. So that's kind of gone, and we still have some parts. These systems are still out there, so we kind of take care of the guys that still have these old systems and things like that.
Sure,
but that's really something we don't want to really deal with anymore. And But yeah, getting back to, I guess there again, the start of FVP, that was 2007. That's when I made my career change from diesel injection service, working there for 16 years, starting FVP. That's when me and Jenny took the leap of faith to start our own business, which was tough.
Scary.
And we put all of our cards on the table. We have, and we can get into that more, but our business is right. We live in a rural area, and our business is right next to it. It's part of our property.
I saw that on there, and I'm not going to lie. I'm a sucker for old barns, and that was really cool that you guys. Was that an old a barn on the original, like your old farm, basically?
Yep, it was. So we bought the place that we live at now, and where the business is. We bought it in 1995. My wife Jenny and I, and So the barn was the old milk barn, the dairy farm. Back in the day, I can never. When we moved there in '95, it was long gone from any type of farm.
Sure.
Kind of an interesting story. When we were looking at starting our business, at least here in this area in Wisconsin and in our township, they make it pretty difficult to basically have a commercial business out in a rural area. They want to keep it all agricultural related, things like that. However, we found a little bit of a loophole where they wouldn't allow us to construct a building, but we could modify an existing.
Okay.
And so we kind of took that angle, which really didn't hurt our feelings too bad, because I'm an old farm boy. My wife, Jenny, she just loves that. So we said, you know what, we're going to renovate this barn, which quite honestly costs us a lot more than it would have if we would twist it over and put up a tin building. But it's part of the look of we live right there. We have a Victorian old farmhouse. It looks the look. And when it comes to a local part of it, we're fine with it. And that's what we did. So we were able to make that all happen by renovating this building. And that's what we did. We did a total renovation on it, inside and out. And that's where it started. That's where we started FVP in 2007. And then the rest is history. We grew from there.
So the progression of that, I know you probably started doing injectors and stuff like that. I will tell you one thing that caught my eye, and this is going to involve Ridge. I see on there that he's the guy that runs the EDM. So did you get to the point that you started? Because I know at one time EDM to do the nozzles, it wasn't a lot of people that did that. So you guys now do that in-house there. Is that correct?
Yeah. So actually how it's working now is, my coworker, Dennis Mahoney, he started his own business, 11 years ago it was.
Right.
After, John Link was his name.
Yeah. So
good Lord, John. Yep.
Yeah.
So going back, and I guess in this, we won't get back to what Ridge is. In.
Sure.
I'll let Ridge say I'm taking over again, but
you're fine. We got plenty of time.
All right. So John Link from Michigan, Concord, Michigan. Back in my diesel injection service days, back when John first started, I'm proud to say that I was his major connection. John didn't know. He knew how to EDM machine nozzles, but he didn't know. It's like, hey, Dennis, I got this guy. He's got an international 806 and blah blah blah.
Yep.
What do I need for a nozzle? What do I need for this and that? And so we were in contact every day. We worked really close together for a number of years. And then we utilized John for our EDM work back in the diesel injection service days, and back in the early part of the early part of Fair Valley Performance days.
He was quite an innovator. He's a guy that doesn't get talked about a lot. That what he had his hands in pulling is amazing.
It's amazing.
To know that you were probably, I mean, I don't know how else to say this, but he had the way to do it and relied on your knowledge of what you were doing in the, where you guys basically kind of teamed up on that. I did not know that.
We did. We worked together at that, and we were good friends. Matter of fact, he came out and visited us at one point. And then, of course, as you know, tragically,
that was terrible.
He got killed in a hunting accident, and and I remember that, and I knew his dad very well too, Jack. Jack Link, not the beef sticks or anything. So I knew Jack very well too, and matter of fact, after John's death, I talked to Jack, and we just chit chatted, and that was a sad day for me too, but the pulling world changed at that moment. John was doing, I'm going to say at the time, I'm going to go as far as saying he was probably doing at least 50% to 75% of the nozzle EDM work in the truck and tractor pulling world. So that all of a sudden, boom, that changes.
I absolutely enjoyed hearing, and my dad actually talked to John a fair amount. What I enjoyed was there was several people that rebranded and marketed his stuff that we don't even need to talk about it, but it was cool to see that this guy took that over and built that up over several, several well-known shops.
For sure. So at that time, I didn't even know what year that was. That had to be, gosh, I'm going to say 2009, 20, in that range, probably.
Yeah, I think it was maybe even a little later, possibly, because I know he was trying to help my dad when we first, we were alcohol guys, and we built this diesel tractor, and he was trying to, I love my dad to death. He can be stuck in the mud sometimes with, hey, we got these old injectors here. And John is like, you need these dual feed injectors in this. And one of the biggest mistakes we did was not continuing on listening to him. And it wasn't too long after that he passed away. He'd have helped us a ton. A ton.
Exactly. So I'm going to ship that. I'm going to let Rich take here. But my point is the point I wanted to make here is that changed things. And of course, that forces change for us.
Yes.
Okay. Well, if we're going to be in this market and we want to be the best we can be, then
add this service.
Fortunately, we had a local machinist that kind of approached us in a way. But Ridge, you can take it over from there.
Yeah. So Dennis Mahoney is my coworker now, but around that time, we're looking. It's like we're trying to find somebody that does something nobody else does, basically. And Dennis, Dennis Mahoney, not this Dennis. He came up to us, approached us, and he said, "Hey, just kind of wondering." He was working at a tool and die shop, so he was very familiar with EDM and all that. And so we just kind of gave him some different projects. It's like, hey, do this, and we kind of showed him a couple drawings on what we wanted him to do, and he actually went to his work and did it after hours, and came back and showed us the results, and they look great. And it's great quality. And we're like, so, long story short, we just kept feeding him more and more and more. And before you know it, he quit his full-time job and started his own place to just do our stuff. Because we gave him so much, EDM work with nozzles, build injectors, all that. So he actually added on to his house and pretty much built his own little machine shop full of, EDM drills, CNC mill, lathe, all that to cater for us. And then when I was in high school, I kind of developed interest in machining and whatnot. I liked making, taking a solid piece of metal and making something out of it. I thought it was kind of satisfying and cool, and so my junior and senior year of high school, during the summertime, I'd go over and actually work for him. And so it worked out perfect because it's like, well, I'm doing what we're doing here, and
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So it worked out perfect. And then, and he was looking at his future too. He's just like, well, eventually I'm looking to retire. Right. And it's not something that's really easy to carry on to show somebody else, like, here you go. It's just a thing. So we, that's when you and him kind of talked that we would actually buy his business out.
Mm.
Yep.
And the deal is that he come work for us for 3 years, but he's on his second year, but he said, yeah, I'm going to be here longer than that. Don't worry. You can't get So
yeah, those are the kind of guys you keep around for as long as they want to be there.
Yeah, for sure. And that ended up being we were blessed with Dennis. We would not be where we're at today without Dennis Mahoney.
Yeah.
And I hope he's listening to this because he made it possible for us. I mean, he's the guy that knew that. I mean, and for me personally, I mean, I wasn't the experienced machinist. That's where I lacked. And so we have a guy like Dennis that comes in that just and all of a sudden he's doing all of our work, and now all of a sudden we have the opportunity to buy him out, which we did. Acquire all of his equipment, move it in house, and acquire him as well. And then at the same time, I tell Dennis, he's kind of the old timer, but then we have the young blood that ends up going to school, which I'll let you explain that, and learns all the CAD drawing stuff and things like that. So that's a great mix when you get the old guy and the young guy, mentality, and that's a good mixture.
But you can learn. I mean, you can go to school for it, but then to have that hands-on experience, it's just like a springboard.
It's a whole different level. I went after high school. I actually went up to Green Bay at a tech school up there for CNC machining. Went there for 2 years, and I did. I learned all the CAD programming, all the CNC programming, all that, and it worked out great because Dennis, he's an old timer, so he knows all the old tricks in the book, right? And so then I come in with like the newer stuff because he didn't really know much about the CAM software and stuff like that. So he would come in. He's got his through experience. He's like, yep, they tell you this in school, but don't listen to them because it ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
So just stemming off new ideas and his experience, it's working out really well. So.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's an awesome story because it's bringing all that stuff together. And just the machine shop without you guys, I mean, it works together. It probably does. I mean, it works okay apart, but not the same. But I can see where it just funneled into just like this perfect storm for you guys.
Right.
That's crazy.
It really was. And he's the best EDM machinist, I think. And as far as the quality of our, and now I'm not tooting our own horn, but I kind of am. The quality of the spray holes and things like that. I mean, I've seen some kind of sketchy stuff out there when it comes to, there's a such thing as when it comes to, especially injectors, EDM machine work. It can be clean work or it can be kind of shabby work, and he does a wonderful job. And he's such and Ridge, you're doing some spray holes from time to time, but you got some big shoes to fill, and but we're
working on it.
And with that part of it, we're the injector part of it's been extremely busy for us.
Yeah. Ridge, how old are you now?
I'm 21. I'll be 22 in a couple of weeks. So
a little jealous.
We got a question here. Question for Dennis. When was the last time he drove a pulling tractor besides a farm stock?
Oh my gosh. Well, that would have been Agent Orange. So 2009.
Holy smokes.
By the way, Chris asked that question, so he should know.
Oh, I can figure this out. So
are we saying this could have been a leading question here?
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Okay. And then go ahead, Dan.
Do you miss it and still have the itch, or?
Oh yeah, for sure. As a matter of fact, we it's hard to believe that it's been this many years since we've had a I'm going to say a high level pulling tractor. I mean, Ridge has been doing some farm pulling and having some fun with that, which is good. I mean, that gave him a tractor to work on. You had, and honestly, in the local level, he had a really good season last year. Never got beat.
Nope.
So, so I said, okay, now it's time. You can make that next step. You got to have success in the level that you're at before you can move on, right? That's always been my theory, and so we are. So Ridge is now building a light limited super stock again. So the Alstorm 190 that he pulled is now totally tore apart, and then that's in the building stages right now.
Mm-hmm.
I say it is going to be orange, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Can I ask what setup? Because I mean, I can't imagine the 301's a tough platform to move on. Or are you staying with an orange motor?
It'll be an orange motor. It'll have it'll be a D-cubed 426.
Nice.
So the 410.
So now I need you to get to work on some guy that drives a light green tractor and start talking about recast hits.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we would love to see that, and that's something
he's a pretty tough nut to crack. I've talked to him about it, but
right. Well, I think now in the world of the recast, we do a lot of work for Brian up at Northwoods.
Yep.
And whatnot, so me and him are good friends, and it's just today's day, and now even some of these, even to find good head cores, cylinder, it's getting tougher. The ones you buy, you get are junk. And the thing is, the money you stick into these things, and they don't live, they don't survive.
Right.
So I would, of course, being Alice guys, of course, we're going to push for right? And it's just the way it is. But so we'll see how that goes. But that is happening. It kind of, we'll see. It won't be for this year, but we're hoping for next year. Rich has got some other things looking at as far as possibly buying something, things like that. So that stuff comes first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, that's interesting because that like that recast deal, that's a tough thing, and people don't realize that at some point we're going to run out of parts. And I'm an international guy. I have I do like Alice Chalmers is probably right second close. But the thing that blew me away is we called around looking for some roller cam blocks for like the Navistar international stuff. I talked to a truck salvage yard, and they're like, "Oh, we don't get that stuff in anymore."
Mm-hmm.
And whoever thought we could ever start talking about running out of international 466 stuff?
Yeah, no, I would agree. It's got to happen eventually, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And then a 426, I mean, there was days you could buy combine motors. I mean, they were all over the place, cheap, and that's changing,
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So no, that's cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of the plan moving forward. We'll see when it happens, but that is, and like I said, getting back, I'm surprised. I can't believe it's been this long, but at the same time, we're just busy. We're just, I mean, with the business, Greg, time is my worst enemy right now.
I well understand. And the thing that I can know how easy it is to get away is the amount of work it takes to run even a light limited super, let alone these guys trying to run super stocks and like 6-inch pro stocks or light pros. I mean, that's a whole nother level of commitment, but I'm sure you could work 24 hours a day if and there'd be people happy to see it, but it's not possible,
No, exactly. So that's kind of where that's at. We'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
One step at a time there.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So and moving on, one other deal, and we talked about this slightly earlier and you guys purchased the Sigma or this part of the Columbus Performance part of the deal for Columbus Diesel.
Right. Kind of a timeline. I guess if you don't mind, I'll back up.
No, that's perfect. Absolutely. Keep rewinding.
To the start of Fair Valley Performance. So when we started in 2007, it was me, my wife Jenny, and Scott Luck. Just three of us. Scott actually came along with me from Diesel Injection Service.
Mm-hmm.
So it was three of us in 2007. That's where we started. And just kind of as the years went on, I guess as far as, in 2014, we actually, the shop that we're in now, which is the white shop across the road. So, So if you guys go to jump on, of course, when you Google, you can see where everybody lives, right? So just go on the street view and you'll see what our whole setup here. goes, and that's fine. We got so the white shop across the road that we're in now, which actually is more of a personal shop now, but we do have a wire EDM that we recently purchased that we have over here. This is where we do our Alice Chalmers work.
You can't get away from all the stuff that Brad puts on Facebook.
Oh yeah, I know. And he's here today.
We've seen.
I'll pop him on the screen at some point here, if you don't mind.
Oh, please do. Listen. That might take another hour because I could.
Dan got to know him really well in Louisville, by the way. So
yes, I did. Good dude.
Great time with Dan, by the way. We'll get into Louisville in a little bit, but
yes, we shall.
But so 2014, we bought this shop here, and we actually had a drive-in service. So I had a whole separate crew down here just for drive-in, which 75% diesel pickup trucks, and then whatever else. And that was, so we had two separate businesses. This was the diesel drive-in. The barn shop was the diesel component shop. And that was 2014. In 2014, by the way, we had 3 employees in 2007. 2014, we were up to 10 full-time employees in 2014. So then that started there in 2021. That was the year that we bought out Columbus Diesel Motorsports. We bought out Midwest Machining, all in the 1 year, basically. At that time, we were up to 15 full-time employees. We got all that going with the Columbus Diesel deal. And quite honestly, guys, it ended up being way more than what we could even tackle.
I can imagine.
That opened up business that we never imagined. So we were, I'm admitting publicly, it's just the way it was. We got overwhelmed. And at that
drinking from the proverbial fire hose.
Well, we have to staff up for the traditional business is the bottom line. And at the same time, I feel that we're producing better product. And now with the Columbus Diesel acquisition, at that point, we were able to, all of their vendors, like the world famous, Columbus long shank nozzle, we acquired that, and that vendor doesn't work with anybody else, nor will they, but they were kind of grandfathered in. So we got grandfathered in with that, which is pretty cool. Things like that were at that point that it's like any business, you acquire. That's why businesses buy businesses out is to buy their technology, to buy their knowledge, buy their vendors. And that's what we ended up doing. And that really,
double our business overnight.
It did. In 1 year, we doubled the business. And so we're scrambling. So at the same time, in 2021, we added on to the barn shop. So that's going on at the same time. We have this addition. So of course, when you have addition, you have to deal with contractors. You guys know how that's. I got that.
I've been there. I understand.
I can't take all this, So that was a really, really busy year. Of course, a year after the COVID year, which everything was still kind of weird, even in 2021. And so that all happened that year. So a lot. And then during that period, I guess what I'm getting at, getting back to the drive-in, once that business became overwhelming, we decided to close our drive-in business and just concentrate on the fuel injection part of it.
Let her say hi.
What's that? Oh, just excuse me.
Yeah, she's here to say hi.
Oh, well, stick around.
Yeah, come on in.
Jenny's my wife. Jenny's here.
Oh, well, man, I was about to say something about her.
So this is Jenny. She's perfect.
Well, I'll wait till she sits down. I will say, and I don't know her at all at anything, but I'm going to say she must be a saint to have rode this out as probably your personal secretary through this whole thing.
Welcome to my world.
So Jenny's been kind of a trooper now. Going back to starting the business, I had to really, really, really convince her to somehow talk her into this is why we need to start Fair Valley Performance.
This is a good idea. Yeah.
Years.
So,
Yes.
and but we finally both decided to take the leap of faith, and we talked about this just before,
Yeah.
and that's what we ended up doing.
Yeah.
So yeah. So Jenny's
Just
part of it.
worked out.
There every day. She's the one that pays the bills and does whatever and tells us when we're not making enough money, and then when I got to do something different to to try to fill the checkbook. So
Time for a meeting.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. I don't think that sounds pleasant at all. Like, uh-oh.
yeah. So anyway, that's that, and so getting back to the Columbus thing, that was really a game changer for us, and that was it's just an experience. We went down to Columbus when we bought them out. I don't know how many loads we brought back. That was a bunch. It was 3 or 4 trips and overloaded trailers and all that. It was just and all the stuff. I mean, it's like and so it was a neat experience, and that was a big thing for us, for FDP, for us little guys out there. That kind of was kind of a game changer, for us. I mean, that was kind of a leap for us.
You kind of minimize that. You guys were a pretty serious player before you bought them in the fuel systems, and that it's like it just ratcheted up another level.
It did, but again, then it goes back to the challenge of managing,
maintaining
and growth, and that's not always easy either. Because again, our goal is to be able to take care of the customer and be able to communicate with them and get back with them in timely manners. And sadly, I'm going to admit that that probably hasn't happened as well as I wanted to. However, we've added staff. We now have people, and we're going to get there. Any of my customers are listening. It's like, Dennis, it takes 3 or 4 days before I get back with them. It's like, I know, I get it, but
do you want me to replay my comment from earlier? It's the damn truth. And I know you're not willing to admit it, but you know what? When you're at a tip of, you're one of the best injector people around, and they can't just call your competitor. There's 2 or 3 places that make really good injectors, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it falls out. If you're going to stay at that tip, we have to. It's worth the wait. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, but we're working on that, and I do. I truly want to. And here's, I guess, moving on. And there again, I'm talking too much again, but
no, heck no.
And just with everything that's happened and the growth, and we're adding people, we're adding technicians. We're Maddie's here too, isn't she? We'll get Maddie. So Maddie, you guys have talked to Maddie before. So she's in the house. So she'll be over here eventually. But we hired Maddie just over a year ago, not knowing anything about our business.
Like she is right there.
Nothing. Maddie's here. She's gonna pop in.
Here, real quick, Doug Meisinger's got a question. Does Fair Valley Performance have a CNC injection line vendor?
Our CNC vendor is a person.
Well, we may. Is that something you'd ever like to do?
Well, we do. Our injection line business is tremendous. We have one full-time guy that just on injection lines, and it's not enough. We sometimes we have 2, just constantly making lines, bending lines, and we've got pattern lines. We've got a whole loft of different pattern lines. If you got whatever application,
I was looking at that.
So, and we'll bend them, and we have the engines there too. We've got DT 466. We got a John Deere. We got an Allis-Chalmers 301. We got an Allis-Chalmers 426. Now we have a Ford in the house.
Yep.
We got a John Deere big block. So we can actually, we can check our patterns once in a while because they tend to get tweaked to make sure that when customers buy our lines, they're the best quality they can be. So Maddie's jumping in. This is Maddie. And she's our rock star. And on the front phone. So sorry, getting back to Maddie. So Maddie, you've been here just over a year.
You're March 6th.
You're March 6th. So so Maddie came with 0 experience.
None.
So we're thinking, well, Maddie, she'll be a good secretary, right? And no offense to that, but that
was my thoughts too.
But we needed that. But Maddie, unbelievably, and I'm still amazed that and Maddie is she in 1 year. I mean, she's taking orders, she's helping out customers, she's explaining, why you need this Vickers pump and how you mount it, and this is why this is our 14 millimeter P7100. This is what it is. This is the price. These are the adapters you're gonna need. These are the fittings. By the way, do you want banjo fittings? Do you want the billet inline manifold? What do you need for an overflow valve? Well, what are you running for a fuel supply pump, right?
Right.
So an electric supply pump, you run what for an overflow valve?
For electric?
Yeah.
For the orifice, you want a 28,000.
28,000
If it's mechanical, 60.
Right. Or you run the Bosch overflow valve or the Enderley.
Right.
So,
Not bad.
and so it's amazing. So she has taken so much load off my shoulders because she's able to take care of that. So it is possible to hire someone and teach them this industry because here's proof of it right here.
It's not every day, but yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And
finding people right now is not easy. I'm sure you're well aware.
Yeah. So, and that's all part of it. And getting back to doing the best we can to take care of our customers in a timely fashion and with good quality people, not just talking to someone that actually knows. It's like, you guys know how it is. If you call a business,
absolutely.
And if you don't have faith with the person that you're talking to, you're ready to move on. And and so she does a great job of that. So we thank you for that, Maddie. So
it's been great. It's crazy how many factors there are. If you miss a small question, whether or not someone new pullers, if your engine's not firing, you could ruin someone's entire engine if you don't know what questions to ask. But no, it's working for FDP has been a great experience, and I plan on staying for quite a while and seeing where this goes.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Doug Meisinger asks how big of the inside diameter.
Probably of injection lines. 0.140 is our largest. If that's what he's asking, and then we run the 140s for the big pro stocks. The guys, the big pro stocks, and then with injection lines, our next size down would be 120 ID. But then we got either the 1/4 inch OD or the 5/16 OD lines. Then we also have 93,000s, 84,000s, 78,000s.
105.
I missed 105.
It is a good thing you got her, Dennis.
I know, you're right. I had a couple beers before so maybe I'm not quite as sharp as what I should be.
No, you're doing good.
I guess I didn't realize you drank.
You're better than that now.
Fred Petch says they have Fair Valley fuel pumps on their turbines.
Awesome. That's great.
And Terry Benson's. What? Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, never mind. Moving on.
Dennis has been around at a long time. He has always turned out great parts. We pulled against each other years ago, and his things always work. Dennis would be a great one to learn from.
Terry's a great person. Very, very friendly. We get along great. So thank you, Terry. Appreciate the kind word.
Alan Ulmer asks, how much boost does your snowmobile run?
So Alan, how's it going, Alan? So I own a Yamaha Sidewinder snowmobile. And of course I bought this, I don't know, 2 years ago, whatever it was. And so of course I have to call Alan to get this thing souped up, right? So I got electronic performance and I don't know. Alan, what did I all buy for this thing? I don't know, a whole bunch of stuff. And it goes way too fast, by the way. It scares me. So, but Alan is into that, and he helped me out with the performance stuff on my Sidewinder snowmobile.
I will tell you, I think that is two things that parallel each other: is tractor pullers and snowmobiling.
You're right. That's
so. Where do you go snowmobiling? Because it amazes me all the people that come from east that go right by us heading out to what seems like Wyoming and different places snowmobiling.
Yeah, well, this year was a bad year for snowmobiling in Wisconsin, but we had the trails open around here in southern Wisconsin for about 2 weeks. Northern Wisconsin, they were hardly open at all this year.
Oh boy.
But typically, we have a trail system right around here in south central Wisconsin, that or northern Wisconsin, Upper Peninsula of Michigan, mainly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any new products that you're working on? I know I did see something about a new injection pump listed. 7116 mil.
Yep. Yeah. Well, we're always doing new stuff. I mean, as far as our injectors, Ridge is mainly involved with on the injector side of it. We've got new nozzles going with this manufacturer. We're working with them with a longer shank nozzle than even what we have now. Things like that. That's always injection pump wise. Yeah, always cam. On our P7100 pumps, we have currently our what we call our X531 cam. That's a 13 millimeter lift cam, which is kind of our rock star right now. That works really well for our 4-1 guys and our light pro guys with our 16 millimeter plungers. We have a billet cam. We had a hiccup, unfortunately, with that cam, but that's going to be a 14 millimeter lift billet cam. That'll even be more aggressive, and so we're hoping for that. We've had it on the dyno and it worked great, but we had a problem with the governor end of the cam breaking off because of the hardness got too deep, and so we had a batch of cams that ended up getting thrown aside and
table weights.
Yeah, paper weights.
You speak of that. The one thing that has amazed me, and I mean, I was a little kid, but I remember some of the old twin turbo super stocks, like in the early 80s. And to see what the horsepower was there at the biggest classes,
right,
to now seeing literally, I'll bet you some of these S300 tractors are approaching the same horsepower.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get lost in that they don't realize that what has changed technology wise.
Yeah.
It's borderline scary, to be quite honest.
Yeah. It's all of it. Engine technology, fuel system technology, as far as that goes. And, when it comes to injectors, for an example, going back to that, because it's such a big part of our business, and spray angles, and we got we call it the Bible. It's a spray. It's a binder full of different spray angles, different applications, different piston designs, things like that. 145 degree, 150, 155 degree. 160.
Yeah.
It just depends. Hey, if you got an IH hot farm, or you run the truck style piston, okay, yep. Well, the 160 degree angle is what you want to go with. These are the things that Maddie's helping these customers with as well as us, and we need to make sure. And the other thing that's really kept us on our toes are all the dynos now.
Oh my goodness!
These things, and the good part of that is that we have learned as well. It's like,
absolutely.
I thought that would work good with the setup, but you know what? It was a turd. It's like, get it back here. Let's try something different. And we learn that way. And once we figure that out, then we know it, and we don't reveal numbers with other customers based on what we learned from someone else. But let's face it, once we learn that, we can better assist our customer and
better your product. Absolutely.
For this setup, most likely you're going to make the best power with this combination.
Yep. Yeah, and it's that the dyno thing has changed. I mean, it's scary to think about how they did it in the old days and threw stuff together and the trial and error, and
right.
Just go out to the track and see what happens,
Right. Well, in your comment before, Greg, that's part of why these tractors run that much better.
Yeah.
These guys have just found horsepower on the dyno. Back even 15, 20 years ago, that wasn't the case. You just bolted stuff on, you wouldn't pull.
Yeah. Yep. So, and the turbo technology has went bananas. I mean, I don't know where that's heading in the future, but
right.
Yeah. We got a few more questions.
Sure.
Alan says, how many Alice Chalmers are in your play shed?
Oh gosh, what do we have there?
Oh,
You know?
God.
shouldn't have asked that in front of her. So,
Earmuffs.
yeah, I know, yeah.
We have tractors outside of our
Oh, yeah.
shed because there's
15 or
What's that?
Well, he just asked inside. Yeah.
I'd say we got. We're not, and there's maybe 15
yeah.
or so.
because that's not enough.
So we got kind of that project. So that's kind of the. I got a D21 that I'm restoring, like really, really nice right now.
Yep.
So I want to get to the finish line on that. And once I do get to the finish line on that one, then we can concentrate on more. But then we have some other projects going, and that involves Ridge and I, and then my nephews, Brad Crookton, and then Ben Fry. Basically, it's kind of us four that kind of get involved with that every Wednesday night down in the White Shop. That's our gig, and that's what we do. We don't do anything else that night. If something else is going on, nope, I can't do it. I got tractor night going.
That's awesome.
I tell you what, if you ever get out of town, and I know that you guys love Alice Chalmers tractors, I'm going to sell one of my competitors out in the Heartland series out.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the Laps out of Ray, Colorado?
Were they the ones with all the D21s and?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you a little story. One night at a pull.
Yeah, they had
got
like 8 D21s at the
Yeah.
Grand Pool.
Midwest.
Let's just say they didn't bring them all.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're at a pull in Akron, Colorado, and we had this kid in the National Guard, of all things. They had military side-by-sides towing our tractors around. And this guy, Todd Vaughn, which is a son-in-law of the original Lap, has this pulling tractor, and this guy he's like, hey man, my dad had a D21, because they're so iconic. It's like, I mean, those tractors, people remember them.
Yeah.
And I just turned to him. I knew they had a few, and I said, hey, Todd, how many does your family have? And he's kind of him, Oz, and this, and 21.
21 D21s. That's amazing.
I may have to send you a picture, but they have a museum on the farm that is just out of this world. They've got a 220 front wheel assist, and they have a line of 21s, series 1 yellow ones to, I mean, you name it. It's amazing, and stuff that's professional done. But
right.
I was like, they even had a dang semi with one of the old Big Al motors, which is just nuts, and it still runs.
It's in Minnesota. So 220 front wheel drive assist, how many made?
Was it like 100 made?
Like 100 made. So that's really rare.
I understood like 77 or somewhere in that neighborhood. But I mean, that thing's phenomenal, and it had a first class restoration. I mean, these guys have crazy nice stuff.
Yeah, that's great. So that's the gig down here as far as that goes.
Yep.
And I don't know what else has happened with FVP. We keep
We've got some big plans in the works, whether or not
we do, just to give you an example right now, and not that but just the injector jobs pulling injector jobs that we have in the house. I counted yesterday, and we had 78 jobs in the queue. Like 78 jobs of six, 78 times 6, just lined up for EDM work. And I think we have probably 35 to 40 in technician files to assemble. So we have just in the house now, we've got probably 120 injector jobs in the house right now that need to get done before pulling season.
That's getting closer all the time.
Mandy's gonna have to do injectors here pretty quick.
Yeah. I've got one more thing for you to learn here. See this? Yeah.
And so that, and then but beyond that, then just with everything else, Model 100s, which maybe that's a dying thing, but we're one of the only shops that are building up these Model 100s now with 13 millimeter high lift, 625 cc's, popular, and so we right now, how many heads do we have coming, Maddie?
We're getting 30
heads.
30 heads.
Oh my
Should
goodness.
be getting the first batch of 10 at the end of March, and then hopefully the rest will follow in suit, and everyone will be pulling on time, and it's going to be great.
we're starting to see why you could be hard to get a hold of.
Well, and so I'm not, and there again, it's managing, like I said, managing.
I'm joking, but yeah, I mean, that's a lot of work. And
so between that and P3000s and P7100s and things like that, we have, we finally were able to launch our 14 millimeter P7100 pump program. We had a problem acquiring plungers and barrels, but we're good now. We're good to go. We're healthy with inventory. So we got that going. 16 millimeter has been a bit of a struggle with plungers and barrels, but that has resurfaced again. So yeah, just I don't know. It's like I said before, Greg. Not only me but our business. Time is our worst enemy. We just
absolutely. So I have one question, like the 16 millimeter, like 7100s. I assume that's a lot of light pro and limited pro stuff.
Right. Correct.
Are the light pros hard on them with the amount of RPM they turn?
Not really. No.
Wow. Because I mean, I remember back and it's probably more P3000 days. It seemed like you hit a certain RPM and man, stuff was not living.
Yeah. The big thing now is DLC coating.
Okay.
So the DLC, diamond light carbon, there's some other names for it. We send our parts out, like our tappet assemblies, the plungers themselves, things like that. Just making these things robust. And that's a big thing of what we've done here. I'm going to say we continually try to improve things to make these as robust as we can, because quite honestly, once this pump is out pulling during the season, I don't want to see it until
you don't have time to see it.
I don't because that's just, during the season when someone's like a plunger, for example, and that happens. Don't get me wrong. But gosh, sure. We've done everything we can do to minimize that, and it's aggravation obviously for the customer, and it's aggravation for us, and it's a tough thing. So we continually look at ways of how we can improve our product is the big thing. So
okay.
Marty Samuelson says, how many hours to do one injector job?
You're looking at like a set of 6 injectors. Typically, I'm going to say 3 to 4 hours of labor time just for the injector R&R assembly. EDM machine work. Ridge, you can help me out with that. What is it? Like a set of 5, doing 5 spray holes.
That's about a couple hours just to do the spray holes.
For a set of 6.
For a set of 6.
Oh, that's a set of 6. Okay.
Yeah. But then you, in a lot of cases, so when it comes to the injector, let's go from top to bottom. The body could be billet. And if it's a billet, Ridge makes those in-house, and that would all be done with the feed passages and whatnot. If it's a stock-bodied injector, however, then we will either convert them to dual feed, so we'll add a second feed passage into the body, or we'll enlarge the feed passage. Depends what it is. Then you've got an intermediate plate, which sits between the body and the nozzle. So there you have a feed passage or passages that get opened up. That's EDM machine work. When it comes to the nozzle, you've got your feed passage or passages. You've got your internal sac area. So when you look at the ball at the end where your spray holes are, that's what we call the sac. You have your internals that we open up, spray holes. And then the pintle tip, we machine the end of the tip. We machine the top of the pintle for more lift. So there's a lot involved. So they're just very labor intensive. And now the nozzles that we acquire from our vendor, a lot of that's already done because they're pulling nozzles right from the factory. But I'm talking more like an OEM nozzle, like a Bosch nozzle that we would modify. But yeah, the world of our best 21 millimeter billet pull injector right now, dual spring, long shank nozzle. We're quoting them out at $4,700 for a set of 6 injectors. So there's a lot of stuff in there. A lot of stuff there. And you know, it's you know, you figure things out, and that's your power source. You know, you got to have good you got to have good injectors and good quality, and that's just what it takes. And
I want to throw you down a route to kind of get you in trouble now.
Yep.
From your perspective, rules wise, is there anything that you would change or you think is crazy the road we're heading down?
Well, I think to a certain here, the one thing I'll say in pulling in general, the one thing I'm concerned about is for an example, let's look at the big pro stocks, you know, or even
6-inch pros
classes for that matter. You look at a 4-1 limited pro. I mean, you know, we just had a billet cylinder head in our shop today. You know, that came. I mean, this is a whatever $15,000-$16,000 cylinder head. Just the perspective of the money in these classes. And let's face it, these the promoters are still dealing with a crowd of maybe 1,000 people. Well, how do you pay for these classes? You know, I mean, in Badger State, I don't know what the post-stock class is probably, I don't even know what it is now.
I don't even know.
You know, but a $20,000 show is not out of the picture anymore just for a local.
20,000 is not much anymore, unfortunately.
You know what, I guess what I'm getting at is, you know, the perspective of that is getting tough, you know, where these promoters really have to go out and look for sponsors and scrape up this money where they can get these big tractors in. And maybe, I guess what I'm getting at, kind of like when you look at the farm stock level, the hot farm, where maybe there's a few more limitations. Should that have occurred maybe in some of these bigger classes too, or to try to keep it more limited?
Well, the hard thing I look at is, I mean, we can throw whatever number you want to on like the big pros, like we saw got debuted at Louisville. You're taking some really high dollar tractors that are pulling for $1,000 to win.
That's my point.
It's just unbelievable. And yet, you know, but yet we turn around in the 466 tractors and there's several pretty, a lot of money invested in them for what they pull out at the state level too. I mean, it's not, and I could go down to the antiques. It's across the map. But I don't know where it stops. And the purses,
you're right.
Some of the purses are still the same as they were 20 years ago.
Exactly. And fortunately for all of us, or us, you know, the world of tractor, it's bigger now than it's ever been. You know, I mean, I get involved with Badger State a little bit with helping out and whatnot, and you know, the number of competitors pulling tractors is higher now than it's ever been. You know? Well, and that's your 466 guys spending $7,500 on a turbocharger, and they're buying the $10,000 injection pumps. They're buying the
injectors,
$4,700 injectors, and this is on a 466 hot farm.
And maintenance.
Here's $1 per horse. Build a diesel super stock. LOL.
Let's moving on. Yeah.
You probably know more of that answer than I do. I don't know.
Nope. That's above my pay grade right there. I'm down in the little stuff, but let me throw this out there. You speak about all the numbers of tractors. I would be curious to hear your answer of where all, and this might be for your new secretary that knows other stuff. Where all do you get calls from? I'll bet this would be kind of amazing to people. Because states, you know, different states, there's polling all over this country now that people don't really understand or think about.
I had no idea tractor pulling had grown to what it is, because I grew up going to tractor pulls. That was familiar.
Minnesota.
Okay.
But no, so coming from my knowledge of tractor pulls, a fair, or, you know, we know there's clubs and all of that, but I figured it was a very United States, this is our hobby, we do that. Well, it's huge in Canada. I think we've got a pretty big following in Ontario right now.
Very big.
And other areas in Canada. I didn't realize people pulled in Australia. That was a huge surprise, talking to Australians, and the time zone makes it a little tricky, but
yeah.
Germany, Europe, it's just baffling. And I don't know, it's really cool how spread out it is. And I think it'd be fun to get a map out, like a global map, and kind of pin where our pumps have traveled, our injectors, our all of it. And one other thing, we were promoted from secretary, but
take that.
Yeah. You know what? Duly noted.
She definitely went maybe on the secretary going to hurry. And again, you listen to her talk, and it's amazing.
Well, I'm sitting here going between her and your wife. I see you're on your toes. You might have a lot of meetings.
No kidding.
but even there's the stuff that there's a fair. It's not huge, but Utah, Idaho, California has had a heck of a resurgence. There's stuff in Washington State.
Yep.
I understand there was a Bauer sled sold into central North Dakota the other day, which is interesting. Really? Texas has had quite a deal blowing up. It's still fairly small, but Dan and I, we've been going to Arizona. I mean, and you look at what happened in Florida coming on as an NTPA member state. I mean, Georgia all of a sudden now has one of the biggest pulls in the country.
Wow.
I mean, it's crazy to me. That diesels and dark corners has went from a niche deal to a must go to pull for especially the diesel pickup pullers.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all good for us, and we just have to keep up with it on our end, and we're making moves to do that. Like I said, we've had some growing pains. I will admit that, not in quality of work or anything, but probably more so just not being able to keep up like we.
Dennis, I'll add something to that. To me, and as you grow, I think one of the hardest things is to maintain the quality of work, because so much of it gets out of your control, and you got to make sure you have quality people and that maintain the excellence.
Right.
That's probably one of the hardest things of growth, in my opinion.
Right. Well, the big thing for us, and Jenny will definitely comment on this, but we picking and choosing is the big thing. And the one thing, and we didn't even touch on that, but we do a lot of stock everyday fuel system, injection pumps. The local dealers, they utilize us for their pump work. The 3440 that needs a rebuilt pump or injectors or whatever. I've always, I said, what, I'm never going to give up that work, because it's keeping diversity in case something doesn't go good. You got another angle. We are at the point now where I'm considering to focus more on our pulling customers, is to basically drop the stock stuff and just concentrate solely on pulling stuff. Number one, as a business where we're out of room. I really don't want a bigger crew, to be honest with you. I mean, we're kind of at where we like to be, but I want to be better at even what we do, and just concentrate on what we do best. And so we have to do that. Coming up in the fall here, part of the Columbus deal, we bought, all of their Sigma stuff, pumps, which was a lot. They had a ton of stuff in inventory, complete pumps, build kits. I don't know how many are up there, parts, whatnot. And all that stuff has been sitting. We have not done anything with that. That's all been sitting on our shelf, which we invested into that, but we just been so busy with everything else. But that is going to materialize in the fall. We're making moves on that, and we're going to be able to launch that Sigma program. And so that may be the teeter-totter that puts us over the edge, where we say, what, we're going to do that, but we have to drop the stock stuff.
Yeah. It's been amazing to me over even the last 20 years. There used to be little fuel shops all over, even in our part of the world. And, every few years, this one disappears. It's getting to be, and I understand it's getting to be more of a niche, because it's, not everything's running mechanical stuff, but there's still a need for that.
There's a big need for that, as a matter of fact. And the reason, I guess, going back to my employees, Mark, our service manager, he actually came from my former employer as well. He's been in the diesel industry for just over 40 years now. And I've been in the industry for about 33. Scott, our shop foreman, he's been like in the industry for 31 years. And then we got our guys that have been with us since day one. You know, I counted it up and kind of we have over 150 years of industry experience between all of us.
Yeah.
And what I'm getting at there is that us old timers, we attract that old stuff because honestly, because we know that. I mean, I know it.
Yeah.
You know, a Stanadyne DB pump off a John Deere 4020. I got the part number list in my head. I can tell you that. We can hammer that thing out, and we're good at it. We know that stuff. You know, a Model 100 pump that comes in the door, whatever. You know, I got the guys that we've been in the industry for so many years. The problem with some of these older shops, and I can tell you that because I traveled to a lot of these shops, is once these older guys kind of retired and kind of got out of the business, they didn't have replacements to keep them guys up and going with this old stuff. So, so you're right, Greg, that those little shops are going away, and that's why
I gotta ask you about one guy to see if you know, because he's a real kind of quiet, almost legend in places. Did you know a George Gulab?
George Gulab. He's not ringing a bell.
Des Moines, Iowa.
Oh, Des Moines.
He was a character. He was another guy that
Des Moines Diesel.
No, I don't think so. He had his own little shop. He was every dealer used to have their own little pump shop, and he was a guy through International and then went out on his own, and he did a ton of pulling stuff, but he was a kind of a crippled guy from, I think, Strawberry Point or something, just east of Des Moines.
You never know. Back in the day, there were a couple little shops out in Iowa that I know at the time were closing down about the time I kind of got into that. So he might have been one of them.
He was probably right in that time, honestly, because I think he passed away, and he was a character. He's a guy we thoroughly enjoyed, and he helped us out, little stuff here and there.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So that's the gig right now, I guess. I don't know. What else we got going on with the business?
No, not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot.
Right. We got a whole lot going on.
I think that's going to be a big change. Big change.
Running around, that's what's going on.
So, Dan, you want to ask him the question you ask everybody?
The one I ask off air or on air?
We're on air, Dan.
Oh, okay. Which
Still got to be good. About what would you drive if you could drive anything?
Oh, the Rusnet question?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you could drive anything, what would you drive and where? As far as pulling.
As far as pulling tractor.
You start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it'd have to be orange.
Yeah.
It's got to be an
that's
Alzheimer's. Honestly, I would say a pro stock with orange skin and then whatever else underneath. I probably work with Robbie Lemke, so it's going to have the billet, if you want to call it the green block or whatever it may be. That would be, if I'd have money that it doesn't matter. That's a full blown big pro stock.
And where would you pull it?
Do you have a favorite pull?
I'm gonna say Toma for us.
Yep.
Toma. That's a classic.
It's been over an hour, guys. We haven't made cheese curds.
I recognize that voice.
Oh, no.
No, you're supposed to come in.
Okay.
No, get out.
Yeah, that would be that. How about you, Rich? What's your gig?
I mean, I'd probably like to pull down in Bowling Green. What I would want to pull, though, it'd probably be a diesel super stock. I think would be pretty sweet. A heavy super, like Youngblood, for example. That'd be pretty cool.
Yep.
So.
I'll throw another one of my favorite old tractors was the old Gutless General. Did you guys have any part of that? The old Light Pro?
No, I can't say that we did.
Do you remember that tractor? It was. I remember when Light Pro first come out. That thing, and I was shocked to see it. And what it was like a maroon belly or something. 70, 60, and he was doing very well with that Alice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was cool to see.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Okay, what about her in the back? What does she want to drive?
You know, judge me all you want, but I love watching the garden pullers because it's so comical watching this tiny little thing pull this huge amount of weight.
Take it easy,
Oh,
Greg.
no. I thought she was going to go with the big guy on the little tractor.
Hey, poke your Brad Cookton. He's the one that posts all that. So, yeah, he got tangled up with Dan down in Louisville too.
I did. It was fun.
Yeah. We were talking. Was Dan with you guys on the late night crew or not?
Well, yeah.
If it was late at night, Dan was there.
Exactly right.
So me and Brad actually went back to the room.
Yeah, I'm getting old, so
these guys they all went out. Him and Meister. Where's Meister? I thought Meister was going to be on here.
He had to go to a school meeting.
I was going to say he probably had a meeting.
Meister popped up here earlier in the comments.
Yeah, I spoke highly of you guys. I don't know what that's all about.
And by the way, you guys will be on my video next week from that side of the shop over there, which you can't see.
But speaking of Louisville, we had a great time, and Andrew Meister and gang. Great customers of ours. Matter of fact, Andrew's one of our best customers, and he believes in us, and he has for a number of years. You know, and the great thing about Andrew is he has believed in us, and if we send something out that doesn't quite work like he wants to, he'll call me and let me know, and I'll say, you know what, dude, let's try this, let's try that. You know, he's got his own dyno, and we keep working with something, and when we bang it off, he calls, and it's right on.
Well, that feedback's exactly what you need to get better too.
All right, I have my cheese curds. I'm out.
Okay. Yeah, so no, them guys are great, you know, and fortunately in Louisville, as part of the Columbus buyout, they had their suite that they had reserved over the years, which are hard to come by in Louisville. I think there's probably a waiting list, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah, there is.
Yeah.
So we had the opportunity to take that over, and we did. And that's really cool. That's really added an experience. And hopefully, Dan, you had a great time there. And it's a whole different way of when you're with that atmosphere. I think it's great.
Oh yeah,
Probably did.
Go ahead, Greg.
Probably didn't realize how many friends you had when you got that until you got that suite, right?
Come on, Greg, you're truly my friend.
Well,
Say that.
here's one for Greg.
Oh no.
What's the scoop on the poll in Bridgeport?
Crickets. No poll in Bridgeport this year.
Somebody needs to make a decision there. Also, Marty says Andrew's
I have
wife
my own
broke
meetings.
his-
Okay, awesome. Yeah.
Marty said Andrew's wife Brooke is his cousin.
Oh, cool. I didn't realize that.
Andrew married his cousin?
I
What
knew
did
there
this-
was something going on.
Wait a minute. Did I can't read very good without my other glasses, Dan. Did I miss something?
Here, I got some you can borrow.
Brooke is Marty's cousin. Catch that?
Yeah.
But
Okay.
no, as far as Louisville goes, it was a good experience, and I thank you guys for letting me hang out with you guys for 4 days.
Oh, yeah.
Quality people. I tell you what, I got to spend a lot of time with them and get to know them and hear some things about them, and they're great people. I don't think you guys got a bad bone in your body, and look forward to doing some work with you. Actually, we're going to try some of your stuff this year, and I'm pretty excited about it. So,
Yeah. We appreciate that.
yeah. I got to rub elbows with people I thought I'd never ever meet, and they were all good people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you get up into that echelon world of pulling, and you kind of wonder how those people are going to be. And
I told Dan he's new to this game because, man, there's a lot of the big time people when you really truly get to meet them and know them a little bit. There's a lot of really quality people in this game.
Yeah, there is, and it makes it this. I mean, we all have something in common. You know, we have. This is our path, right? I mean, that's
There's something wrong with this. Probably is a lot of it, but yeah,
we all
I
know
agree.
that. But no, and that's just that. And going back to just doing business and whatever. The one thing I want to comment on is and I talk to a lot of guys, and in some ways in this industry, it's like, some vendors are like, well, if you cross that path, if you go away from me, it's like, if you run my pump, you got to run my injectors, you got to run, and don't cross my path. For us, if someone's running a competitor's injection pump and they find out that our injectors work better, that's fine. And we service a lot of competitors' pumps. We have how many up there now?
Yeah.
I tell guys is, hey, dude, that's fine. We can check this pump over. Let's set the fuel. There's no, I don't know what the word I'm looking for.
Conflict.
Yeah, there's no conflict there, and I've never felt that way. And that's the approach that we take. And I just want to be happy. I want my customers to be happy. I don't want any tension. When I go to Louisville, when I talk to customers, I don't want to have to watch my back. That's the kind of people we are.
I'll tell you what that tells me. And I'll just put some words in your mouth for you here. You're confident in your ability and your product.
Right.
And let it be. You can't be there. You can't do everything for everybody.
Right.
But as long as you put a good quality product out there and take care of it and let the chips fall where they may.
That's exactly it. And we've always had that mentality, and I sleep a lot better at night because of it.
Yeah. No, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Cheese curds. Yeah.
Cheese curd. Yeah. See, we don't have that stuff in Western Nebraska. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, man, Dan, you got anything, Dan? Go. No, on.
No, I just, like I say, just spending time with you guys and seeing the people that come up and talk with you and everything at Louisville. And I mean, you can see that your customers truly believe in what you guys do and trust your guys' work. And like I say, I had to listen to it all the way down to Louisville and most of the way back, about you guys. And you've got some people that truly believe in your guys' work and what you guys do. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I hear, you hear a lot of different people's opinions about people that make products. And I've never heard a bad opinion so far about what you guys are doing.
Everybody's got an opinion or two.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we do our best. I mean, I'm not saying there can't be that one that slips through the cracks for whatever reason, but man, we do our best. We do our best to keep people happy. And like I said, if we don't get back with someone that day, and Maddie does a great job. I mean, I'm out there at 5:00 in the morning. Maddie comes, and at 5:00 in the afternoon, it's like I got to at least get out of the shop for a while. I just got to. A lot of times I'll come back and and whatever, but I see Maddie out there till 7, 8 o'clock at night sometimes, and she's missed dedication. She's I got to clean my desk before I go. I got to get back to this guy, and now we're working Saturdays just to try to keep up a little bit, and so dedicated employees, and that's I always say, as an employer, you have to surround yourself with good people. Try to find people that are smarter than you, which I have accomplished that. And like Mandy, and just that's what it's all about. I mean, I can't do it on my own. I could back in 2007, 2008, I could take care of every one of my customers. But as we grow, we have to find ways of having qualified staff to be able to take care of them. And we truly do have those people in mind. So, well, you're getting a good pet.
I am.
Yeah,
This is
She's going to go home with a big head.
Yeah, that's all right.
I'd ask for a raise, man.
Yeah.
It's going to be a meeting tomorrow. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
that's the deal. That's our gig.
Awesome. No, very good. Well, I guess, Dan, if you got anything else?
I got one question for Ridge. So this light limited super you're building or whatever, have you got a name figured out yet? Or
so there's a little story on that.
Oh,
Actually, I should go grab that picture, could you?
Oh, she's too busy shaking her head at where this is going.
Yeah.
There's a battle. Of
So
adults
my
between them.
tractor that I pulled and farm, it's right here. So I'll try and that's my high school senior picture there. Yeah, there's a case of Busch Light, but it's not open, so it's perfectly legal. So anyway, it's rustic paint and whatnot. And years ago, we called it Faded Orange because it had faded orange paint on it, and it still does. And the name just stuck. So we'd go anywhere, it's like, oh, there's Faded Orange, and and obviously since theirs was Agent Orange, it's like, what, we're gonna leave that be. That was its own tractor back in the day. So that'll be what the name will be, is Faded Orange. So
okay.
And I'll have a paint scheme to kind of, obviously not rustic like that, but it'll fade into something to make it work. So
nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm gonna do the mic drop and walk out of the room, but Andrew and Tristan and I had a name idea for it, and we didn't know if you had, so we thought we were thinking Foxy Lady. So
you know where this is all
right.
Hey,
I know what that.
Dan, what happens in Louisville stays in Louisville.
is there a place in Louisville called that?
Wait, what?
Oh.
Yeah. Hey,
no, Dan brought it home. Yeah.
We and Dan behaved ourselves. We went back to the room.
Yeah. Well, you never know. There might be a little part of the tractor that's got something. So
Oh,
we give out all the secrets quite yet. So
understandable.
Yep. So
anyway, well, very good. We might call it a night here, and really appreciate you guys coming on the show. It's just awesome to talk to all four of you, and Brad when he stuck his head in for 2 minutes. And I can't say anything else. I just keep doing what you do. We appreciate it, and it's guys like you that have driven the sport. Just keep elevating.
We will, and we appreciate what you guys do, and things like this. This is great. This is great for the sport, and this is why I think tractor pulling continues to grow, is because of the social media. You think about that 10 years ago, this stuff didn't happen, and now people kind of get pumped up about it. Just you get online, you hear things like this, not because of us, but I mean, this type of stuff in general is a wonderful thing. And you guys stick a lot of work into it. So we appreciate that too.
Well, and we're excited, and us for our end of the deal. We run a small state group. I mean, we're talking smaller than Badger State, but it's also given us a platform with when we teamed up with Outlaw to live stream our events even. So,
right.
I mean, both of Dan's friends can watch him run every night. It's kind of cool.
That's awesome.
Damn it, I didn't catch that right away.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, Dan's got a few more friends than two. I mean, he bought a dog, so there's three.
I had to get one somehow.
So, all right. Well, we'll go ahead and call it a night. Again, thank you so much, and hang on there just a second before you hit the red button. So, all right. Well, thank you guys.
All right, guys.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
So
Thanks,
take
guys.
care.